You think you're free. You wake up. You make choices. You move through your day believing you're the architect of your own existence. But let me tell you something that will make your blood run cold. You're not free. You never were. You're living inside a cage so perfectly designed, so elegantly constructed, that you've mistaken the bars for the walls of your own home. And the most terrifying part, you defend them. You protect them. You call them your values, your beliefs, your identity. Listen to me closely. There are 9 invisible prisons wrapped around your mind right now, and you can't see a single one of them. They were built before you could speak, reinforced before you could think, and perfected before you ever realized you were trapped. This is not a metaphor. This is the architecture of your reality. The first cage is the oldest. It's the cage of inherited belief. You didn't choose your religion. You didn't choose your politics. You didn't choose the language that shapes every thought in your head. These things were installed in you like software in a machine, written by people who are long dead, executed by a system that doesn't even know your name. And yet here you are, defending ideas you never questioned, fighting for conclusions you never reached on your own. You think these thoughts are yours? They're not. They're echoes. Ghosts. The whispers of 1,000 dead voices speaking through your mouth. But you call this heritage. You call this culture. You call this identity. No. It's the first lock on your cage, and you're holding the key in your hand, refusing to turn it. The second cage is comfort. Oh, comfort, that beautiful predator that hunts you in your sleep. You know the life you want. You can see it clearly. The person you could become, the risks you should take, the words you should speak. But comfort whispers in your ear, not today. Tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll be brave. And tomorrow comes, and comfort is there again, wrapping its arms around you, keeping you small, keeping you safe, keeping you dead. Because that's what comfort does. It doesn't preserve life. Eat bombs. Italiano, you're not living. You're being preserved in the formaldehyde of routine, of safety, of the known path. And you tell yourself, this is wisdom. You tell yourself, this is maturity. But deep down in that place you don't like to visit, you know the truth. You're terrified, and comfort is the cage you built yourself, brick by brick, excuse by excuse. The third cage is approval. You're performing right now, even as you hear these words. You're calculating. What would people think if I believed this? What would my friends say? My family. You've spent your entire life as an actor on a stage you never auditioned for, playing a role you never wanted, desperate for applause from an audience that isn't even watching. They're all too busy performing their own shows, seeking their own approval, trapped in their own cages. You've traded your authentic self for a mask, and the mask has become so comfortable, so familiar, that you've forgotten there's a face underneath. You think their opinions define your worth. They don't. Their opinions are just their cages projecting onto yours. You're a prisoner seeking validation from other prisoners, and you call this belonging. The fourth cage is comparison. Every single day, you measure yourself against ghosts, against images, against carefully curated lies, presented as lives. Someone is richer. Someone is more attractive. Someone has achieved more, loved more, lived more. And you stand there, in your own existence, feeling like it's not enough. Like you're not enough. But here's what they don't tell you. You're not racing against them. You never were. You're shadowboxing with phantoms, exhausting yourself in a competition that exists only in your mind. Comparison is the cage where you're both the prisoner and the guard. You lock yourself in every morning when you scroll through those images, those lives, those carefully constructed fictions. And you throw away the key every night when you lay in bed feeling inadequate. You're destroying yourself with an imaginary measuring stick, and you call this motivation. The fifth cage is time. Past and future. The two thieves that steal your present. You live in memories that can't be changed, replaying them like a prisoner watching the same film through the bars. Over and over, wondering what could have been different. Or you live in anxiety about what's coming, about what might happen, about all the terrible possibilities waiting in the shadows of tomorrow. And meanwhile, right now, This moment, the only moment you actually possess, slips through your fingers like water. The past is a ghost. The future is a dream, but you give them all your power, all your attention, all your life. And the present, where all transformation happens, where all freedom exists, you ignore it completely. You're serving a life sentence for crimes you didn't commit in a future that doesn't exist, and you call this planning. The sixth cage is identity. You think you know who you are. You've built this story, this narrative, this character called you. I'm the kind of person who does this. I'm not the kind of person who does that. I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert. I'm damaged. I'm strong. I'm weak. Every label is a bar. Every definition is a wall. You've trapped yourself inside a story you wrote when you were younger, dumber, more afraid. And now you defend that story with your life, even as it suffocates you. You reject opportunities because they aren't you. You avoid experiences because they don't fit your narrative. You stay small because you've defined yourself as small. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. You're not a fixed thing. You're not a statue. You're a river, constantly moving, constantly changing. But you've convinced yourself you're a stone. Identity is the cage where you're both the architect and the inmate, and you call this authenticity. The seventh cage is a responsibility avoidance. Everything that's wrong in your life, you've found someone else to blame. Your parents, your circumstances, your genetics, the system, the government, your ex, the economy, and maybe they all played a part. Maybe they all contributed. But every second you spend pointing your finger outward is a second you're not using to change a reality. Blame is comfortable. Blame is easy. Blame lets you stay exactly where you are without feeling bad about it. But here's what blame really is. It's you giving away your power. Every time you say they did this to me, you're saying I can't fix this. Every time you make yourself the victim, you surrender your ability to become the victor. And you know this. Somewhere deep down, you know you're using blame as a shield to protect yourself from the terrifying truth that you could change everything if you just stopped hiding. You're imprisoned by your own refusal to hold the key, and you call this justice. The eighth cage is distraction. You're drowning in noise. Entertainment, notifications, content, stimulation, anything and everything to keep you from sitting alone with your own thoughts. Because your thoughts are dangerous. Your thoughts ask questions you don't want to answer. Your thoughts point to the life you're not living, the person you're not becoming, the potential you're wasting. So you run, you scroll, you binge, you consume. You fill every moment with something, anything, to avoid the deafening silence of your own consciousness. Distraction is the cage that looks like freedom. It gives you choice, variety, endless options, but it's all the same prison, just with better decoration. You're trading your attention, the most valuable resource you possess, for absolutely nothing. And every hour lost to distraction is an hour stolen from the life you could be building. You're sedating yourself into numbness, and you call this relaxation. The ninth cage is the most insidious of all. It's the belief that you're not in a cage. It's the certainty that you're already free, already awake, already living at your full potential. This is the cage that keeps all the others locked, because you can't escape a prison you don't believe exists. You can't break free from chains you think are jewelry. You can't wake up from a dream you're convinced is reality. And that's exactly how they want it. The system doesn't need to guard you. You guard yourself. The cage doesn't need locks. You lock it from the inside. You're the prisoner, the guard, and the warden of your own maximum security mind. And the most brilliant part of the design, you'll fight anyone who tries to show you the truth. You'll defend your chains. You'll attack the key. So here you are. 9 cages. 9 prisons. 9 invisible walls that have shaped every choice, every belief, every moment of your existence. And now you have a decision to make. You can close your eyes again. You can tell yourself this isn't true. You can go back to sleep, back to comfort, back to the safety of your beautiful, invisible cell. Or you can do something terrifying. You can look at the bars, really look at them. You can stop defending them and start questioning them. You can stop calling your prison freedom and start building actual liberation. But I'll warn you, once you see the cage, you can never unsee it. Once you feel the weight of these chains, you'll feel them every single day until you break them. And breaking them, that's the hardest thing you'll ever do. Because it means destroying the person you thought you were to become the person you actually are. The predator and the prey exist in the same body. Yours, one wants you to stay asleep. The other is screaming for you to wake up. And right now, in this moment, you get to choose which one wins. The cage door has always been open. You just never thought to push it.